So we can start. Just introduce yourself, and
Okay.
this is your shop. So
All right. I'm Walter Patten. I'm a founding member, I guess, of our woodworking organization. Have really enjoyed being in the organization and watching it grow and everything. It's to me, it's an honor that you would want to come by and see my shop. You have to understand that it is for the amount of equipment I've got in here, it's a very small shop. I've got just about everything I need. There's a couple of things I'd like to spend another $2,000 to $4,000 on, but who's got that money right now?
right.
My favorite, I guess, would be this wood lathe. I spend most of my time right here making lots of sawdust come off of this deal. Most of it I just end up just sweeping out in the yard and spreading out there. A lot of it goes in the flower bed and stuff, but that's I can't hardly walk by this thing without putting a chunk of wood on it and turning it into something. These are examples of different things that I've turned. These are both mesquite. It is I call it a mistletoe burl. As mistletoe grows on a tree limb or something, that limb will turn into a burl and get larger and larger. That's what both of these are. This one I filled all the voids with an epoxy acrylic. And this one I started to, and then I decided, no, I'm not. I'm just going to leave them and leave the voids in there. All of this stuff here, just piddling. This is a little box to look like a pear. I've made acorns and apples and all kinds of stuff. This stuff here, just passing the time. Then you get into segmenting, which I have grown to really enjoy by segmenting. That's what this is here. I made this wooden outside, I guess, for this drink cup.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
Never have drink outside of it. And then this is another piece, an example of segmenting. That's not paint or anything. That's different colors of wood on this. And they're all, if you look close, you can see all the little pieces there. That has become my favorite project. My wife asked for some bales for Christmas, and I didn't have any wood as big as she wanted, so I ended up making the bales out of segmenting and get the size of wood that I needed to make the bales. So that came in handy there. In order to, this is my last big project. It's my kind of my pride and joy. This is my third one. I made one for my daughter and her family, and then one for my son and his family, separate. And then my wife decided, well, I want one too. So I had to figure the angle. There's 10 pictures on here, and I had to figure the degrees or the angles to be able to cut all these to get them together. But that's all segmenting. Took that over. Here's an old piece that I did. Same thing, segmenting. I forgot to get this out, but this is what I use to cut my segments with. This is store-bought. The original one I had was not. Basically, there's a calculation you use to cut these segments, but they go in there, you run them across the saw, you end up with a bunch of little pieces. This is I don't know if hardly anybody that's got one of those. I had to buy it. But you take all these little pieces and you glue them together like that, and you make a circle. These circles, you glue them together. You can clamp them up with rubber bands, or you can use hose clamps, or whatever you have to glue them together. And then once they're glued together, when they dry, then you take and smooth down one side of them. And then as you get that glued and ready, then you start stacking them. You make another one and you stack it. And you continue to stack them, gluing them together. And you make the shape that you want. As you get them glued together, you clear out the inside of it. You clear out the outside of it until you get the shape that you want. You can dress it up with something like that. That would be called a feature ring, and that just dresses it up. That's like having a ring like this in the center, or that in the center is called a feature ring.
You got multiple species there.
Right, and that's what that would be. Just like it's sitting there, the end grains are glued together, and then again that piece goes on top of that like that. And but it's extremely time consuming. Takes a lot of patience, but a lot of it waiting on the glue to dry. You know, I think that's just about any project is setting it up, waiting on the glue to dry.
Right.
But I've got, this is another lathe, and I can have pieces clamped up over here.
Everyone needs more than one lathe.
Yeah, everybody needs that. So, and that's it. That's really it until you, and just the enjoyment of coming up with your design that you're after and what you want to make and stuff like that. That's the enjoyment. A lot of the shapes and sizes and everything you get off of YouTube. And then after you've done it for a while, and I don't know how many of these I've made of different sizes, different shapes and everything, and never sold a one, but I've given them away as gifts and what have you, but people seem to enjoy it. If I can give this to somebody and they smile about it, that smile to me lasts forever. But if they gave me $20 for that, it'd be gone next week.
Right.
Spend it. It's gone. You'll find that once you, like this was a shape I saw on YouTube, but I built so many of them that I just kind of like that just came up on my own. Just putting pieces together, starting to turn it, and then whatever it comes out is, that's what, and I thought that turned out pretty nice, and has a lid on it and what have you. But that's my number one enjoyment hobby. This is an oak, they call it a cookie.
Okay.
And I took and leveled it off real good, filled in the cracks with epoxy, and then epoxied the whole thing. But it's not, I'm having trouble with the epoxy. So I need another couple of coats on it before I'm happy with it. And I made the legs, and I'm not happy with the legs on it. I don't think they look good with it.
Okay.
I may be mistaken, but that mesquite root right there is what I want to cut the top off of it and use that for a base for this table. I think it'll look a lot better. I'd say 90% of my projects are segment.
And
always.
it makes you happy.
It makes me happy. Making sawdust. Yeah. I've had pieces come off of the lathe and fly across the room and break up. So, but as far as dangerous, I can't see any more danger in a segmented piece than I would in a solid wood piece. When you make one, especially if you're turning it green, like going out and cut a trunk off of a tree and it's still green, and you turn it, by tomorrow it's not going to be the same shape. These are probably my most used tools right here. Now I've got a plethora of other tools around. Up on top here's antique saws and some old planes, block planes that I've acquired over the years. That sign up there was Texaco's leased property in Oklahoma. And at one time, it's a 160-acre lease. And at one time I owned 120 acres of that lease. So that's why, and I found that sign on that property. These are places here, like that top picture is a gas plant that I used to work in. This one here, that one was in Odom, Texas. This one in Maysville, Oklahoma. And I was the plant superintendent at that one.
Okay.
These are some of my friends that were working for me in Oklahoma. Antique saw. I've picked up a lot of antiques and stuff. That's sign right there's been with me for a number of years. I have to show that to my wife occasionally.
Yeah.
This is another gas plant that I was in charge of. That one is in Louisiana. Okay. And that actually was tore up after I transferred out of there. It was tore up in a hurricane in Louisiana. It was right down on the coast of Louisiana. Elevation there was 3 feet, I think, from sea level. So this is my drill press. Use it an awful lot. Used to make a lot of pins, and I use this quite a bit in pin making. This is my bandsaw. It's always got scraps and dust on it. So small part storage over here. Got all my nuts and bolts and nails and screws, and it's all in there, whatever you could need. And then working around, this is kind of getting into clutter, I guess. The radio is going, never turn it off. It's going all the time. I'm kind of a theory that if I got a radio going in here, the rats and the mice think there's somebody in here, so they don't come in here. So,
right.
So more of my clamps, homemade jigs and stuff from my lathe. These file cabinets I got from a guy that passed away, and my son was hired to clean out his shop. So instead of files, I've got all kinds of woodworking stuff. I've got over here I mix a lot of epoxies and what have you.
Yeah.
All my mixing bowls and what have you are in this one. I've got a lot of my hose clamps for segmenting. Sanding material, all my sandpapers are big stuff. My sanders are in here, router in there, die grinder, jigsaws, disc grinders, skill saw. It's all my hand tools, power tools are in these drawers. This is kind of interesting. Let me clear it off right fast. I mean, my sander is here, and so is one of my planes, and I just pull the pins on it, and then the plane comes to the top. So It's whichever one you want to use. And it works real good. It's on casters. You can just push it back in there out of the way. Got it. This grinder here, slow speed, is set up for sharpening my chisels on my lathe. This one here is just a metal grinder, and then this is a lot of clutter, but I know where everything is. This right here is the combination that Don Knudsen has been working in here building cutting boards, and
Okay.
he uses that on his cutting board. In fact, I've got one, a small one over there that I built. So this is where all my colors and parts, and that's epoxy, and my sandpaper. Keep my sandpapers in here, and as I'm working on something and sanding, I'll come over here, and that's where I grab my sandpaper from. All my drill bits and different components of the lathe. I started out in 1970 and I retired 2 years ago. So I was in the oil field for 52 years.
Yeah.
I started out as a roustabout in 1970 as in a gas processing plant. And when I retired, I was area superintendent over the east side of Oklahoma. So
Okay.
took a lot of work to move up from a roustabout to area superintendent.
Yes,
but,
sir.
But I did it, and that was out without a college degree. I don't have a college degree or an engineer or what have you. So
Yeah.
real proud of what I did, what I
Yes.
accomplished and stuff.